And welcome to another edition of the Living Large Theater podcast. Billy Santiago here along with my good friend of 36 years, Gary Rodriguez, super producer Noe Ayala. You can reach out to us at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and the iHeart Podcast Network. If you're going to become a sponsor of this fine show, reach out to our super producer Noe before 9 p.m. at 956-451-1633. Rate our podcast, share with a friend, leave us a comment, but more importantly, hit that subscribe button.
Trump Vance. Hey, who's saying that? Trump Vance. Welcome to the Living Large Theater podcast. Gary Rodriguez, Billy, and super producer Noe. We're going to talk for 30 minutes with movie director Rodrigo Moreno. We're going to talk to Rodrigo and one of the actresses in his movie El Llorón. And I'm going to tell you something. The movie scene in the Rio Grande Valley is growing. It's becoming a mainstay here in the state of Texas. There's a lot of directors, a lot of producers coming to the Rio Grande Valley and telling their story through our people, our directors, our actors. And I think it's a great thing because entertainment value is something that's special, whether it's in L.A., New York, or even here in the Rio Grande Valley. Remember, admission to the Living Large Theater is always free. All you need is a sense of humor and a thirst for entertainment. I want to thank our sponsors, White Sands Marina, your destination for all things family. Also want to thank Ward Thomas and Majestic Studios. And tell Ward Thomas right now, happy birthday, big dog. Happy birthday.
Ward.
Also, Fred Rodriguez, a Texas sportsman.
The
Premier hunting and fishing guide in South Texas. Gotta have it. But as we said, 30 minutes coming up with Rodrigo Moreno. Rodrigo, welcome to the Living Large Theater podcast.
Stop, Rodrigo.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Talk about the movie.
Wait. Before you start, you said the movie's called El Llorón?
El Llorón.
Right, yeah.
You did it after Billy or what?
After many people, man.
What's the scene like here in the Rio Grande Valley as far as movie directing, the talent that we have available, and most of all, I think, getting these things financed? That's a big challenge, isn't it?
It is. It's booming. More and more people are coming up and bringing projects to the valley.
Yeah.
We had the honor of having some people from LA and from New York coming over to produce our movie and to act in it.
Yeah.
So that's a very example that from here people are watching.
Yeah.
People are making sure that we have a voice also.
What about distribution? Is that becoming a challenge too, or are people willing to pick these movies up and find a way to get them out into the public domain?
Well, that's also the hardest part, no? Finding people that can buy it and distribute it and everything. But there's films. There's one that was filmed in the Valley, I think about a month after we filmed ours. It's called The Switch Up.
Yeah.
So that movie premiered in South by Southwest, and now I think it's getting distribution. There's people like Javier Chapa who's producing movies here in the Valley also. His movie is now on Netflix, The Long Game.
Yeah.
So
that's that was the golf movie, right?
That's right. Yes.
And it really happened in South Texas. It took place.
It's a story of South
from
Texas.
Brownsville, right?
And it's from I think it's from Laredo, somewhere.
Oh, Laredo.
From
Okay.
There, yeah.
Excellent.
So the streaming services, that's a big plus for you guys, right? For a lot of the independent film directors, right? Because you have other platforms you can go to instead of the big studios in L.A. now, right?
Well, it's a different model for sure. It kind of run by the same people. It used to be Netflix only, and now it's part of a big chain from Disney Plus and
Paramount.
They're all
getting in on it.
They're creating their own content, and they're giving us opportunities to. For example, my movie that I filmed, it's a short. So back then, there's no way that you can show a short in a movie theater. But now in the streaming services, that they arrive, now you can show your movie.
A short would be considered what, 30 minutes or an hour or less?
40 minutes or less.
40 minutes or less,
yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I saw a movie called Sour Grapes. It was more of a documentary kind of thing about a gentleman who was so good at drinking wine. He had a 1 in a million palate with flavoring wine. So he would buy cheap wines and he would mix them till they tasted like a Riesbo or something like that, something like a Camus. And he would do it in his house, and it wasn't real like movie length. It wasn't the hour and a half, but it was a little bit longer than 40 minutes. A good movie. It's called Sour Grapes, and it's actually a true story. So, what gave you the inspiration to become a director? Did you happen into it by doing something else, or did you always want to be a movie director?
So it's a very peculiar story on mine. I've always wanted to be a filmmaker since I was a kid. I used to grab my camera or my photographic camera and do some shots there. And then when video came on, we did some VHS movies or beta in those cases. But growing up in Mexico,
Beta, remember?
yeah, well, that was the king
Beta,
back
that
then.
was
I gotta tell you, the 80s was beta.
It was the best
Right?
available. Very pricey though.
Yeah,
Very, very pricey. I remember those.
yeah, and whoever had equipment to edit those,
Yeah.
it was king.
That's where it comes from, or that's where it starts. Equipment. If we didn't have this guy
Yeah.
right here,
That's
Yeah,
right,
we'd be
Billy and I would just be
SOL, man.
we'd be out in the street talking, about tortillas. But thank God we have super producer Noe and all his
You need
his
those-
excellent
you need those
equipment.
people, yeah.
Thank you, Noe.
Likewise, I wouldn't be anything without
Yeah.
the crew that's
But you
supporting me.
had some equipment to start with.
Yeah, it was a friend of mine who had it. I mean, we started doing that, little things, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But like I said, growing up in Mexico, it's my father kind of saw that I was going through that route and said, no, you gotta pick something more.
Got to be a
pragmatic.
lawyer. You got to be an attorney.
You gotta make a living.
Yeah.
So, and that's a little bit of a pipe dream, especially growing up in the 80s where
Sure.
there's no industry like there is right now. Or
Yeah, you're pretty much a trailblazer, or you're one of the trailblazers.
yeah, it was back then in Mexico there were 3 or 4 filmmakers.
Yeah.
And there wasn't not a lot of room to grow in. So I wind up studying another thing. So my dad did that, but the story came, and I'm telling you this story because that's how the movie that I shot in December became a movie. Because my dad, when he was about to die in his last lucid moment, he had pancreatic cancer.
Oh my.
So
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. A week before he died, he had his last lucid moment, and he talked to me and said, "Look, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I see you that you are a bitter person. I see that you are filled with anxieties because you're not fulfilling your dream."
Right.
So,
You were fulfilling his dream.
well, I mean, like any father, he will worry about his kid, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I don't put any harm on what he did, right?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
trying
You
to
don't
do the
blame him
best.
for anything.
Exactly. He was
Right.
trying to do the best for me, right? But at the end, he said, "You know what? I guess he was in his final days. And
Yeah.
your mind develops in another way. There, you start realizing
He had some
your-
closure with you.
Exactly,
A little
Yeah.
more
right?
clarity.
Exactly. You're right now. You're summing up your life and see what you did wrong and what you didn't. So he told me, you know what? I'm sorry. You should follow your dream because I see you that you are not a complete person.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like like a NASCAR race, no, where they're giving you the green flag.
There you go.
That's
Boom.
it. So I left, came to the U.S. and started working towards my goal, which is
Making
did
movies.
you move out to L.A. or?
No. I mean, you can understand when you live in Mexico, Brownsville is LA. I mean, it's it's
Hey,
it's
that's
like
a good way to put it.
now
man.
you have
So you
people.
felt that going to Brownsville, you could probably do
I think
something.
that's what I thought. By that time, I was already married and had a kid.
Uh-huh.
So it was a little bit hard for me to be that irresponsible and say, I'm going to leave
And going to
everything
L.A.
and-
to follow my dreams. I'll see you
Exactly.
later.
So I had to also make a living here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's when I started, and that story that I'm telling you right now was a precursor for the story that we shot in December. It's not exactly about that. Our movie's called El Llorón. It's about there's a profession in Mexico and in so much countries around the world.
El Llorón translates to the crier.
Yes.
The crier.
So it's a guy that gets paid to cry at funerals to make sure that somebody was.
Shut
Wow.
up.
Hey, you know
Hey,
what?
I'll take that.
That's kind of like my avenue. I'm paid to start clapping. Like if you're in a if you're in an award show or something.
There he's a
and-
clapper.
Yeah, I'm like
it's a
I'm
great
first,
job,
man.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
first. Yeah. So,
yeah. So
I got
that-
a little something in common with you there.
And the opposite is comedians, no? They hire people to start laughing so
Yeah.
people can know when to start laughing. Yeah. This is a crier. It started in the Egyptian religion. Right now it's in There's many countries in the world that do. There's even a worldwide competition to be the best crier in the world. Right now,
That's
Mexico
really
has the number one. Just to let
really?
you know.
Wow.
I had a
Wow.
question. Going back to what you were saying,
Uh-huh.
that now that you followed that, you're all in this. There's nothing more. This is what you want to do from now on. Is that correct?
So it is, right? I mean, like I said, I can't be that irresponsible to not have a day job because
Correct.
you're not living out of this unless you hit it big, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm working towards a goal. Yeah.
Going back on this, because we had JD Mata here, and he's been doing it for what, guys?
25 years.
25
Yeah.
years. And I asked him the same question. He's like, no, I'm all in. This is what I want.
Yeah, he says he's a 25-year overnight success.
There you go.
Yeah. So have you ever acted in one of your own
No.
movies?
God,
No. I always found that intriguing how Clint Eastwood could direct himself in Outlaw Josie Wales or one of his great movies. It's got to be challenging. Hey, you brought one of your actresses with us. We have Patricia Rigney. She is in El Llorón. Patricia, talk to us, if you would, about what you see as the filmmaking scene here in the Rio Grande Valley. I know it's been around a while, so it's hard to say it's just starting, but I feel like it's getting a little momentum. I feel like the wheels are starting to spin a little bit quicker. What are your thoughts of it, and what was your experience in acting in El Llorón?
So thank you for having me. I think social media is what's really opened up everyone's eyes to realize that there is a film community in the Valley. That's how I ended up in El Llorón. There's a local casting director, Brenda, who wasn't here today, but she posts most of the castings on social media, and that's how I got cast as an extra in his movie. And it was the first time I was in an actual, what felt like a full-blown movie.
Were you the Llorón?
No, but I did have to pretend to cry at a funeral.
Aw.
She did great, by the
I
way.
can tell you a few things that'll make you cry.
That's a whole other podcast, Gary.
So the experience of it, was it something that you relished or something you probably don't want to do again?
So I actually have continued to do it because I had such an amazing experience with Rodrigo.
It was a good thing, good experience.
It's including the cast that he brought down here from Hollywood, like he mentioned.
Yeah.
Everybody in this industry is so welcoming. There's really not a lot of competition because unlike, my current profession, right, as an attorney, everyone has a degree. They look at your degree, they look at your skills. In the movie industry, you either look a certain way, you fit a certain age range, so we're not necessarily all in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And once you're there, everybody is just so welcoming. It's nothing, I don't know how to explain it. It was just such a great experience that I've continued to.
I saw you in a movie called I Heart Robots.
Yes.
I Heart Robots.
That was produced and directed by Justin Price, and he's
Okay.
out of LA. And he actually had Danny Trejo and Franzi Schlisser.
You were in there.
I was in that
Wow.
movie.
You got killed right away,
I
but
got
you were in there.
killed. I got killed. I had one line, so that was my first actual speaking role. And that was also an amazing experience. His movie is now, it started off on Tubi, and it's now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And so, once you start building up that resume and networking,
Yeah.
and the community in the Valley, the film industry, like you mentioned right now, because, money is critical.
Money's
It's
everything right
expensive,
now.
right? And it takes, for Rodrigo's, I think they filmed for several weeks. And it's on set, it's food, it's meals, it's crew. There's so many people involved that you sometimes just can't afford to pay everybody.
Yeah.
So that's where the opportunities come in for people like myself. You do this as a volunteer,
Right.
and you start building up your resume to where you're eventually going to be marketable in
Yeah,
the industry, right?
That
And
was
so-
a good role you had in I Heart Robots. You looked a little bit like Linda Hamilton in The Terminator because you were buff. You had a few muscles there.
I still have muscles.
There you go.
And Danny Trejo, how was he to work with?
So I didn't actually get to film with him, but I filmed with Franzi, and she is amazing. She's been in several movies, and she and Justin are still, I like to consider them friends, and I think we all became friends after.
It's like a community, right?
It absolutely
So when
is.
you say social media is helping spur this on, what social media? Because I know we have people listening, and they're going to say, "I think I can be an extra. I think I can be an actor." What?
So locally, we have Facebook and Instagram, and Brenda's page is called
RGV casting, I think.
RGV
Casting,
Casting.
okay.
And all you have to do is go on Facebook and send her a friend request. And she posts not only local, she'll share stuff from other agencies throughout
awesome.
Texas. Of actually, because of her, and Lydia Blanco, who is out of Austin or San Antonio?
Corpus, I think.
Corpus, okay. Ended up going to Houston to film for Mo, season 5, I believe. And then I filmed for Walker as well as extras. But still,
Well, that's how you start.
That's how you start. And if you go to this Facebook page on Brenda's
RGV Casting.
RGV Casting, there's a couple others, but there's like San Antonio Casting. Just look for different ones. Just be careful. There's a lot of spam out there.
Yeah.
But whatever Brenda shares is normally legit and reliable. And there is a lot going on here. There's commercials for local businesses. There's user-generated content type of castings, and the opportunities are out there. You just have to look for them.
I know people are interested. I know people want to become actors and become actresses and directors. Rodrigo, what happened with Cine Sol? Is it still active down here?
Absolutely.
It is.
Thriving, yeah.
Explain what Cine Sol is.
Well,
it's a competition, yet it's also
a film festival.
A
It's
film
one
festival.
of our jewels here.
Okay.
It's the longest running film festival that we have in the valley. It's run by Henry Serrato. Shout out to
Henry.
him. Yeah.
I used to work with Henry.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's now Brownsville is supporting the festival. The city of Brownsville has been given resources to him for him to have the festival in Brownsville. Last year we played there with my last movie. It was the last film festival that we were part of.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. I mean, if you have a movie, submit it to Cinesol because it's one of the.
But they do have something like a competition at the end of the year where you make a movie in 48 hours.
Those are the 48 hours race. There's 2 film festivals. The 2 biggest film festivals here in the valley are called the South Texas International Film Festival, which is wonderful also. It's
And where's that held at?
in Edinburgh.
In
Yeah,
Edinburgh?
right here, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and then the other one is Cinesol.
Let me ask you this, not to get up in your business or anything like that, but El Llorón, for example, we'll use that for an example. Is there a point where you yourself will make some money on that just to recover your investment of time, talent, and stuff that I'm sure you put out some of your own money to get this thing done. Mm-hmm. Is there a point where you see you could get something back?
Look, I don't approach projects in that way just because it limits your creativity to do that. It's a work out of love. But yeah, there's ways that you can recuperate. But most of the time it's investing in your career.
Through the art.
Yeah.
Through the art.
Yeah, so people can see your movie, right?
Yes, yeah.
When you get hired or you get produce another big project, they're going to ask you, what have you done?
Yeah.
So we show those films, especially if you run a good festival circuit where they show your movie in big festivals here and there, then they discover you and everything. But you can also promote it, like I was telling you, like Netflix and Hulu and HBO.
Yeah.
They're also programming shorts.
Now, when you go on the streaming platforms, do you get the back end or
Depends
they
on
pay
how,
you a fee to put the?
Depends on how good is your movie, because sometimes they outright give you an amount and say, "Here, I'll buy it."
Oh, they buy it outright from you, and then you lose all control after that.
Well, it depends also on the type of contract that you have with them, right?
Yeah.
Where you can say like, "Okay, I don't want anybody to touch my movie the way it is. If you want to buy it,
I got you.
That's it."
Yeah.
So, I was going back on that Cine del Sol festival. Now, AI has changed a lot with film.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to do a film in that 48 hours with AI? Because you can, but is it permitted?
I don't know. You will have to ask Henry for that. But
it's got a lot of rules to that.
Because
that
now with
competition.
AI, you can do.
Yeah.
For
lot.
me,
Rigney's not even here. This is AI. She's a hologram. She's actually in court right now.
I've been every day almost for about 5 to 8 hours. I spend time researching AI and how to use it and so forth. And I've used it a lot on my platforms and certain things. And man, I could probably, if you give me maybe a day or two to just work on that, I could possibly make a film out of
Yeah,
Nothing.
probably.
Yeah,
probably.
it's not hard.
Noe
anymore.
turned me on to Chat GPT, and
Yeah.
I could see how this AI computer could
It's
actually
amazing.
write a script. You know, Rodrigo, I watch like some of the old series that are on TV, and they flow better. They're more cohesive. They're more understandable. And then I watch something that's recently produced, not as good, and I keep thinking it is the trick is the writing. The writing back when was a lot more
So one of the things that
concise, I think.
the AI has that doesn't have is the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So when let's say you want to buy this cup that you're drinking coffee,
Mm-hmm.
right? But this is made by a machine, blah blah blah. But when you go to a guy that produced it manually,
Yeah.
that took the time and dedication
To craft it.
to craft it,
Yeah.
it's a much better product, much by a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's more expensive, blah blah blah, and everything. So there's companies. So that's gonna. I think that's gonna happen in the
Yeah.
industry.
That's good.
Where you have a choice that you go into YouTube or whatever and say, I want to watch a movie with like to do this and that, and then you watch that movie, and then you want to watch somebody produce a movie. You
Yeah.
want to watch a movie that you are really into.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference right there.
Right.
And I think it becomes more human received when you know that somebody crafted it. Somebody actually sat down and wrote it. Hey, we're talking with Rodrigo Moreno and Patricia Rigney. Rodrigo is a movie director from here in Brownsville, Texas, and Patricia is an actress who, as far as I know, has at least 2 credible credits to her acting career. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsor. Hi, this is Gary Rodriguez for White Sands Marina Inn and Suites in Port Isabel, Texas. Owners Arnold Flores and Corina Lugo are both veterans of the United States Air Force. They bring that military background to their operation of this beautiful and historic resort. From the way they receive you to the way they ensure everything you would expect is just the way you want it. Excellent dining, awesome cocktails shaken or stirred by the great Johnny Barrera, and perhaps the best location on the Gulf Coast. White Sands Marina Inn and Suites offers spacious accommodations for you and your family, an easy-to-navigate boat ramp, and contact with the very best fishing captains on the Gulf of Mexico. White Sands Marina, Port Isabel, Texas. Make your reservation today at wsnnsuites.com. It's the Living Large Theater podcast. Gary, Billy, Noe. We're talking with Rodrigo Moreno. He is a movie director, and Patricia Rigney. She is an actress. Rodrigo, did you write El Llorón, or was it something that you did conceptualize from other experiences, or how did you get the script put together on that?
Yeah, I wrote it. So like I was telling you, it's based on the day that well, not the day, but the whole funeral thing that I experienced with my dad.
Yeah.
So, and before that also, when I was a kid, all of a sudden we were in the funeral of my grandmother, and there's a guy that approaches my mom. My mom is in charge of making all the arrangements there, and my mom's they briefly talk, and she points at the guy and said, "Okay, you go sit over there." And the guy goes over there. He puts up the paper, the name of my grandma and everything, and then all of a sudden he starts crying like a little kid. Like my grandma.
He was a ringer, huh?
Yeah. My grandma's name was Alicia, so he was like, Alicia. It was to me, it was bizarre, right?
That is.
Somebody can get hired to do that, but it's all about how humans want to define themselves.
Yeah.
At the end, right?
And that's kind of a cultural thing for down here, right? Or do all cultures do that?
Look, starting where you pay for your funeral before you die. Some people make the arrangements before you die. I want to have this, and I want to have flowers here.
Yeah.
This type of. You already did.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna see all of that.
You're not going to know if it happened or not.
But that's the desire of them, to make sure that when they leave, there's an impression of them.
Yes.
With the rest of the people.
That's amazing. So what are you working on now?
Right now, we're dedicated to promoting our short. We're ready to go to the film festival, to our world premiere in Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, there's several scripts that I want to pitch to different people. Yeah.
Now the South by Southwest Festival, that's music, right? Not movies, or
No, they have a very
It's a
good film
plethora of
festival,
different
yeah.
things,
Really?
right? Yeah.
They do.
It's one of the biggest. It's one of the 4 biggest film festivals in the
So has
world.
anybody contacted you and somebody who's like out of the market and say, hey man, we heard about El Llorón and we see some talent in you. We would like to kind of shine you up and put you in charge of one of our projects?
But there's people that I've met because of the short and because of the projects that I've done before. I mean, because of Strings, the recent project before El Llorón, I met producers like Mickey Sumner and Leon Weldon. I mean, through different places of where you can promote your film.
Yeah.
I met him at Sundance, for example, at a course that we were taking, not because we were in Sundance, because there was they gave classes and we took.
Yeah, you went
together.
to Sundance.
It's a class.
It's connected to Sundance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not that I was there.
Yeah. Okay. What about animated films? Are we there yet down here or not really? I mean, that's as Noe was talking about. That's a lot of AI stuff. It's generated.
There's
through...
a lot of kids. I met a lot of, and that's basically a generation behind me, or maybe 2 generations behind me. They are pushing that very big.
Yeah.
There's classes now in the university that are given about animation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping. Last time that I was in the South Texas Film Festival, the South Texas International Film Festival, I was a little bit concerned. Not concerned, but I was a little bit surprised at the talent that a 19, 18-year-old kid.
Good talent.
Oh, those kids, man, with the computers and
With
stuff.
money, it's like they did it with no money.
Yeah.
If somebody gives that guy $5,000, he's gonna make a masterpiece.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of people from the Valley that have made it. There's a guy from McAllen, Texas, David Cowgill. He's more of a voice actor, but I think he did play the Orkin Man for a few years. And then, of course, we have J.D. Mata.
Vicente?
Yeah, that's right.
Rodriguez also.
We have Max Decker. We had him on the show. I think a lot. Thomas Hayden Church graduated from Harlingen High School.
Nice.
Anybody else come to mind?
Well, Valente Rodriguez, I think, is the biggest example that we have.
Yeah.
He's one of the pioneers.
Yeah, out of Ed Couch Elsa, I
Yeah,
think it was. And,
Exactly. Yeah.
and he helps y'all. I mean, is he like a
Yeah,
mentor to you guys?
He was part of El Llorón. He played a part.
Wow, was he El Llorón?
Was he the lead role?
No,
or
he was the kind of the antagonist.
Oh,
of the story, yeah, he did a
Wow.
wonderful job. So we had people like Renee Victor. She was the voice for La Abuelita en Coco.
Okay.
And she stars in Weeds and The Apostle with Robert Duvall. I mean, a big name that we are so proud to have her. Renee's one of my dreams to work with. And then we had Bobby Soto, which came out, and I mean, if you see Narcos, the series, he's one of the protagonists there. He's also come out at David Ayer's The Tax Collector.
Yeah.
He's one of the leading stars there also with Shia LaBeouf. Then the 2 movies that came out last year, which is Flaming Hot and A Million Miles Away.
Yeah.
Also, he was part of those movies. He predominant roles.
Wow,
So
those are big roles.
Yes, they came to our movie and were part of it. And Valente was one of my dreams to work with. Ever since I see him in Blood In, Blood Out, is one of my favorite actors.
You know, we had I think a superstar who was on the rise, unfortunately passed away in a car accident, Trini Silva, out of Mission. He was in Colors with Robert Duvall and Sean Penn. He was in the TV show Hill Street Blues. He played Jesus Martinez. He was in, I think, the Milagro Beanfield War, and his star was rising as an actor, you know, and obviously being Hispanic, he had to play in Hispanic, you know, but he did it really well. He could be a businessman Hispanic or a cholo Hispanic. Let me ask Patricia. Patricia, if somebody is hankering or aspiring to be an actor, and they have nothing going for them right now, they'd have no roles, no credits, what is the first thing you would advise them to do?
I would advise them to join the page on social media that I mentioned.
Okay.
And I would actually also advise them to just watch movies or to take online audition classes. There's a lot of, with the internet, right? Like, you can find a lot of resources to start practicing, because for a lot of these roles, even though you might be unpaid and a volunteer, you still have to audition.
Yeah.
And so you can start learning those skills online.
and going through that process helps out, you know?
And going through that process. And, you know, the same goes for anyone who wants to grow their skills as a crew, there's gaffers. I'm learning all these new words that I
Who's best boy? I want to be best boy. I want to be somebody's best boy. So is it a craft, or can you have a natural ability to act, or is it something you have to work on?
So I think Rodrigo is the best person to answer that.
Tell me, Rodrigo, is it a craft?
It's both, I think. I mean,
You can be naturally talented to be an actor.
but what I would recommend to anybody that wants to be an aspiring filmmaker or actor or whatever is train yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure that you know all the techniques. I mean, there's from the old school like Meisner and Strasberg and all those people that created the path where two recent technologies or recent ways that you can act. It's one thing that you can act for theater. There's another thing
Yeah.
that you can act for cinema. There's different things that you can do to train yourself.
Yeah.
And whenever I get auditions, you can tell who's trained and you can tell who's not.
Yeah.
But then that's probably like 50% of it, and then the other is the natural thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's-
Sure.
There's
You
those
can tell
people-
right off the bat.
I was,
man,
in
somebody's
high
made-
school, I tried out for the school play. I was very nervous, but my role was, my lines were, they were going to give me is, hark, I thought I heard a pistol shot.
Yeah.
There lies a fair maiden with hope in her soul. I think I'll snatch a kiss and steal into the night. Shakespeare.
You got the job, man.
Well, I don't know. When it came time to deliver on stage, that's not what came out. I said, hark, I thought I heard a possum fart. There lies a fair maiden with soap in her hole. I think I'll kiss her, snatch, and steal into the night. Snake shit. Where do we find you online for some advice or just to connect with you?
Well, my Instagram is Rodmorf, RODMORF.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
That's weird, but okay.
Yeah, I was gonna just it's my whole name, Rodrigo Moreno Fernandez.
I got you. Okay.
So one of the things that I wanted to tell you about what we're talking about, who has it or who don't.
Yes.
There's the other thing that the camera, some people are meant to be in camera, and one of them is Patricia.
Yeah.
I didn't see her before we were filming, and when I saw her, she was standing out.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
camera
Wow.
loves people there.
She a good crier?
She is.
She's a good crier. You didn't have to give her a little cachetada.
But it's unbelievable the way people can react to camera. It's
Yeah.
like Renee Victor. Renee Victor, when you see it in camera, you can understand. Oh, that's why. That's why she's
Yeah.
a great actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
The camera loves certain people also. And
Sure.
That's something that you cannot be trained to.
Sell us on El Llorón right now. You have 20 seconds.
Well, it's a story about grief. It's a story about defining ourselves, making sure that we are grieving in the right way, not
Yes.
the wrong way, and making sure that we realize.
Oh, it has a moral to it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I like that. El Llorón, directed by Rodrigo Moreno. Rod Morph is your Instagram.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Patricia, how do we find you if you... We'll go through Rodrigo, or what do you think?
I'm also on Insta. I think it's Rigney Law. I use
Okay.
my law firm handle
Okay.
pretty much for everything.
Wow.
Do,
We're
do you have a sizzle reel already?
No, I don't.
a couple celebrities in here. Thank you so much, man. Join in the list of other celebrities, and we're honored that you gave us some of your time today, Rodrigo. Patricia, thank you for your time as well. This is the Living Large Theater podcast. Our sponsor is White Sands Marina. You're in Port Isabel, Texas, your destination for all things family. Also, Ward Thomas, Majestic Studios. Happy birthday, Ward. And Fred Rodriguez, the Texas sportsman.
Reach out to us at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and the iHeart Podcast Network. If you want to become a sponsor of this fine program, reach out to our super producer, Noe Ayala.
By text message,
At
please.
956
Hey, anytime.
451-1633. Rate our podcast, share with a friend, leave us a comment, and more importantly, hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, you keep living large because we're living large.